Hey everybody, Al Puglisi Trains coming to you again from Howard Zane's incredible model railroad. I'm standing in the middle of a large section of the railroad. To the front of me, there's about a 45-foot stretch, and to the back of me, there's about another 40-foot stretch. So yes, about 80 feet from one end to the other, and that's just one part of it. I'm going to talk today about what's called populating a layout. What's meant by populating a yard, or go populate the mine, or let's populate the scene. It could mean a number of things. Let me show you. Now, this engine yard didn't have much going on, and then Andre decided to populate this particular area and make it a C&O railroad facility. So all of Howard's C&O steam locomotives and C&O cabooses, Andre gathered up and stuck down in the center of this engine house area to populate it with a bunch of equipment one would expect to find in a C&O engine facility. Obviously, you'd expect to see C&O cabooses, C&O rolling stock and motive power, C&O locomotive on the turntable, various C&O locomotives getting ready to go into the engine house. And another thing that's meant by populating a given scene might pertain to adding detail, or might pertain to adding vehicles, or might pertain to adding appropriate figures. So all of those things go into populating a specific scene. Just give you a shot of some of these beautiful C&O locomotives. And again, Andre took his time today to find whole bunch of really nice C&O stuff to populate this yard here, this engine facility, I should say. Well, this is Bernard. You've seen this on the channel, and Howard's down here with us, and I'm going to let Howard talk to you. I'm going to ask Howard some questions about properly populating a scene, making sure you don't go overboard, which is my problem. So let's talk to Howard. How you doing?
I always find I'm down in the basement.
Yeah, this time you're over Sandy. Actually, careful of the boat there. You almost hit that boat there.
Yeah, let me just move a little bit.
All right, no problem. We're talking about populating scenes, or populating a yard or an engine house. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on when you go over to populate, for example, Bernard here, what your primary focus is.
I never populated it first. This is the first. Andrew's having a good time. He's doing a good job. The only thing I look forward to when I was running the layout, when I could stand, hoping us to be able to stand soon, is that the main line was free.
Okay.
To get a train around it.
Okay.
Many times we had a problem. We always had to use the 050 and just move cars,
Right.
which is not very realistic.
Right. So you'd move stuff out of the way and put it just in a yard, or...
Well, wherever I could. I got shelves everywhere, and it's just,
Right.
Just give it a home.
Right. And then...
But, what's interesting over here, if you have some old tenders and no locomotives, just stick them in the roundhouse.
Right.
Those
Right.
Are just, it looks very realistic. Those are just tenders.
Right. Oh, I didn't know that. I would have never. That's a very good.
Guess.
And your appropriate junk. What makes sense? What makes sense that you would see in an engine yard facility, at an engine house? What junk makes sense? Obviously you're not going to populate it with dairy junk.
Well, you have to be very subtle. You have a tendency to overdo stuff.
Right.
And you just you want to use the right amount.
Right.
The whole thing is knowing when to quit.
Right.
Overdoing it. Now, I understand Cellulose, which has a beautiful layout.
Uh-huh.
One time he was so populated that somebody told him about it, and he took his advice and took a lot of stuff off.
On his layout?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was way overdone.
Okay.
And that could happen very easily. You could just get caught up in this over junking the layout.
Right.
And all of a sudden you got a pile of crap.
Right.
And it looks terrible. You
Right.
just have to uncrap it.
Right. Just unpopulate it. Just move stuff around.
I like uncrapping.
Yes, uncrap it. All right. Well, let me take you over to another spot. Howard, while we're here, let's talk about these river boats.
Well, it's a riverboat and a tugboat.
Right.
This is N scale. I found that at the train show.
What, this tugboat?
Yeah, it's N scale.
Really?
Yeah, but it works fine.
Yeah.
That is an N scale tugboat.
Wow.
but it looks good. This boat over here, originally I was going to bring this town of Sandy Springs down through here and have a road come through here. And Sandy says, no, we need a river or a lake.
Okay.
And we need a riverboat.
Wow.
So we decided to build a riverboat, or I decided. And I built this thing on a weekend. Of course, Sandy, we always joke about, a trip to the tractor pull.
Right.
Because Sandy, no tractor pull this weekend. We're going to build this thing. So I just made this thing up. I have no idea.
Man.
I just did it from memory.
Howard, this thing is beautiful. So this is not, you did this out of your imagination.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
There's no prototype.
The paddle boat, how'd you make the paddles?
These over here, these are L-scale windows. See, round windows. I just glued these little strips in here.
Okay.
And these are styrene strips.
To make the paddle?
Yeah, just read them.
Man.
That's pretty easy. Then I simulated the crank. See this little thing over here? I made this out of styrene. Because that would work like this. Almost like a steam engine.
Right.
This is a steam engine.
Right.
But like a locomotive.
Wow.
There's an eccentric crank. That's how it worked.
Wow.
These two guys are mechanics looking at them as a machinery.
This really is beautiful. Let me
a hell lot of fun doing
do a fly over here and let me show you the front of it. Let me pause it.
You could have a river.
Now, I've been bitten by the riverboat disease. Now Howard says, "Hey, let's do a riverboat." Now I need a river.
Well, it was kind of fun. If you look at the dock there. See the old time string bend?
Oh yeah.
Now watch. The imagery of the boat pulling into the dock, ready to lower its ramp.
Holy cow!
It's quite effective, I think.
Wow, yeah, these dudes are jamming. Let me zoom in here.
Did you get my my Flaxidix bullet?
Flaxidix? No, hold on. Look at this. I've never noticed this. We keep saying over and over and over. We keep coming down here and we see stuff new. I never knew this was here. The switch was here to activate music.
Oh yeah. Well, that's one of my favorite structures right there.
Flacidix.
It's Long Dick Pharmaceuticals.
Oh my goodness gracious!
For the 4-hour Woody.
My goodness gracious. That's an interesting structure. This is one of my top 5 favorite structures on the whole layout. This Buckley House.
Back years ago, Al, there were a lot of small towns that had railroad hotels where actually crew members would stay, and also people could buy their dinner there, have a gift shop, and board the train, buy the tickets.
Right.
Now, I lived in a place just like that down when I worked on the Texas New Orleans Railroad. That was back in 1959. Wow. I was actually a real railroader. I will say that I did not run the limited, but my next step up the corporate ladder would be cleaning the company shit houses.
Oh, good God.
I was creosoting ties.
Creosoting ties?
Yeah.
God, what a
I
terrible...
loaded the dollies and went into the creosote tank, and then I got a promotion to unloading the car. So.
My God. You don't have a creosote plant down here.
No, it'd be a long tube. It would look horrible.
It would look awful.
You got to model what's good looking. Remember what I told you? When you build a model railroad, ask yourself, do you want to live here?
Right.
And that's the whole fucking simple.
Right.
It's that simple. Just...
Who the hell wants to live next to a creosote plant?
That's why it's not here. Or a sewage plant or anything like that.
Or a sewage plant.
Or a dump.
Although I do have a big sewage plant in the middle of my city.
Well, you don't want it. Now, your layout's not bad looking. But anywhere in this layout, I'd like to live. And that's the whole point when you design a layout. Do I want to live here?
Right. It is very pleasant. I mean, this would be the land of pleasant living, boy, I'll tell you what.
Well, it's all set in the mid-50s. Early in the mid-50s. All the vehicles are correct, except I do have a couple of checker cabs, which came out in 1958.
Okay.
But nobody's going to know the difference.
Right.
Everything else is correct.
Right.
Well, rolling stock, locomotives, everything.
Everything. All right, let me pause this and we'll go back to show you what Andre did with populating the yard behind us. Andre, how you doing, Andre?
Hey, good seeing you again, Al.
Yeah,
what are you doing here?
No, I was just working on my model the whole day, but well, you were down here populating. So tell us what's meant by populating the yard.
Well, we had to take the all the rolling stock off back last summer.
Yep.
When we started our project to clean.
Yep.
You just can't clean track with cars laying everywhere.
Right.
So we put them all away, and now we brought them out.
Right.
Dust them off, check the coupler height, make sure the trucks are on secure. And we filled this yard. This is probably, when you photograph this yard is
Huge.
one of the most prolific yards on the layout.
Right.
So we figured we'd take the last 3 or 4 rows. We left the tracks on the main tracks on the lower loop open,
Right.
and that's all staging area. So we went and put a bunch of gondolas and tank cars. You know, a lot of it is fashion. I'm not sure if I'm more fashion than function doing this, but it looks good.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff that makes sense. I'll give you an idea that real railroads do. You got a string of milk cars there. That's logical. That would be together. And you've got a great big string of tanker cars,
Yep.
you know, and various box cars. And you got a nice big string of gondola cars that makes sense to be together. You know, this is a classification yard.
Yeah.
So stuff is getting separated to be classified into different, you know, to be dealt with differently.
And this yard feeds into the Bernard Roundhouse. So we're going to do a little upgrade on that. And we started by putting in some hopper cars here to
Right.
show, you know, the coaling station here. This is a maintenance yard as well. So we got a caboose over here. We brought over a crane.
Right.
If you look at the roundhouse right now, you see the tail end of a locomotive with the tender sticking out.
Yeah, Howard was just saying he stuck a lot of tender onlys in here,
You know,
which
it
was
kinda-
a great idea.
It's a great idea. We're going to bring some locomotives in here, and you know, it's going to kind of feel lived in.
Right.
It's kind of been abandoned for the last few years, so we're bringing back everybody and getting them out of the storage and putting them on the layout. And this layout, while I'm doing this, I'm trying to think, how
Well,
many
let's-
cars could we actually put on this layout?
I mean, there's hundreds of. Well,
Hundreds.
let's pause this and let's go over to the Cino yard I talked about a little earlier in the video, but we'll touch on it again. Yeah, you did a great job here, Andre. I opened the video talking about this yard you made into a C&O yard.
Well,
Not a
see-
yard, a complex, engine complex.
Yeah, Howard gave me the license to have some fun here, so I'm a big C&O fan. So I brought in as many as I could. There's actually a couple of dummies here. There's one locomotive and tender that doesn't have a DCC on it. It's right here. You'd
Okay.
never know it. It's
Right.
just parked in the roundhouse.
Right.
And then I've got a tender with you can see the Chesapeake name on the side of it.
Right.
We got a 210-4 Texas at the ash pit, and gonna pick up some coal.
Yep.
So kind of trying to play it all realistic.
Yep. This
That's a very good idea. That's nice.
is
Thank
a
you,
really
Howard.
good
Thank you.
idea.
I'm trying to get rid of C.
All right, Andre, what are you saying? You and Howard were saying you're going to make this mostly Erie in
Well,
here?
this is an Erie yard, so we're going to bring in some more locomotives, more work cars,
Yeah.
maybe a caboose or two, and you can see a beautiful coal tower,
Right.
sand station, water tanks. You know, it's got everything, and if you look at the detail on it, my gosh, what doesn't it have?
Well, we can sure stuff quite a few Erie engines over here.
Absolutely, there's plenty of stuff.
Yeah, we don't need the flat cut
Right.
and the lumber yard.
No, that's got to go.
Get
That's gotta go.
get that out of here. So that's what that falls back to kind of appropriateness. You know what might be better suited somewhere else on the layout. You know, the lumber card might be better suited at a lumber facility or something.
Right. So we're moving things around. We've got some work going on back here behind Albright.
Oh, go ahead. So now, what's going on over here?
This is the diesel station for Erie. So we had one locomotive. I brought another one, drove it in here, came all the way in very nicely. We got some Erie caboose, and then we recognize these Atlantic Coast Line old-time passenger cars. They just needed a place to park,
Right.
and they look good right here. So why not, right?
Right.
So it kind of gives a depth to the whole place.
And then over in this yard here, you're going to populate this with some Erie passenger cars.
Well, I started. This is where I left off. I've got all the old-fashioned Eries. There is a newer one right here, and it's running a diesel. We'll run steam on this line and this one. This one's westbound. This one's eastbound.
Okay.
Behind you here, we've never even looked at this spot.
Yeah, let me go ahead and get to the front of this, and then we'll pause it. Pretty interesting. Yeah, we've got, so you're populating this area with some Erie passenger.
Yeah. And then
Stuff.
in front of you, just a little bit of eye candy, a Lehigh Valley, old-fashioned.
Right.
and
Right.
a couple of baggage cars.
Let me pause this here. All right, now you've seen this before on the channel, the Maltz Mine, named after a friend of Howard's, and this is a Maltz coal tower. And we happen to have Howard sitting here, so what better person to ask? Howard, tell us about Joe. I didn't know Joe.
Oh,
Joe
really?
Maltz.
Joe worked with me on the Rissendorf old gauge layout about 10 years ago.
Mhm.
Joe is an electrical genius. He did all the wiring. He's did a lot of wiring on this. And Joe was in the process of mapping this. But one day he didn't feel good. He kept putting off the doctor. I said, Joe, go to the doctor. Get a checkup. Well, finally he did. And he had esophageal cancer.
Oh,
And there was no hope. It was too far gone.
oh,
So he passed away about 3 months after his diagnosis.
oh,
I
goodness.
missed him. He was a good friend. He was a great modeler and excellent electronics. He's sort of in the same class as Keith
Albright.
Albright. Yeah.
Wow.
But I miss him terribly.
And he did a lot of wiring down here too.
A lot of it, yeah.
Wow. Well,
You got to remember, I did very little wiring. I started the original section. I wired the whole thing.
mhm.
But it was analog and very simple. And I
Right.
told you how it worked with the little rheostats.
Yes, tell the viewers how you did your first.
Well, I was on a tour of narco avionics up near Pittsburgh, or I'm sorry, Philadelphia. And as I was going through the area, they had a bunch of these little rheostats they were giving away.
mhm.
So tiny little things used for radios and aircraft. So I scooped up a pocket full of them. I didn't steal them, they gave them to me.
Mhm.
And I came back, and what I did, I had one huge power supply, my MRC power supply, and I had 10 blocks in the layout. This is when the layout was 26 square,
Okay.
and it was pretty simple. And each block was powered into the power supply. And then, of course, it was isolated. And then the rheostat was put in a board where it controlled each block.
Oh wow.
So as I bring a locomotive into the block, I pick up control, I pick the appropriate rheostat and just control it that way.
Right.
I could run 2 trains and it worked fine.
Oh wow.
But then I got into this Dynatrol, which I think comes from the word dinosaur,
Right.
because it was a dinosauric.
Wow.
And it was okay, but it was limited in frequencies, and we're constantly burning out power supplies.
Plus, it would burn up locomotives too, wouldn't it?
I never had a locomotive burn up, but I did have one of my turnouts completely melted. It was nothing but a black puddle of plastic where the
Good God.
it melted. So we had 25 amps of power, just a little too much.
Wow.
And then I got a little frustrated with that, and I got sold on Digitrax. And Digitrax is an excellent system, excellent. The only problem is it hated my guts.
Okay.
It was sort of like the time when I was 15 years old, and I got on this horse, and I said, "Giddy up!" And the horse turned his head and looked at me and says, "Who the hell is this dickhead on my back?"
Right.
And off I went, through me. I think I wound up in the trees. And Digitrax the same way. He said, "Who's this idiot trying to play with me?"
Right.
So finally I got rid of Digitrax. And it's an okay system.
Right, nothing
Actually,
against-
it's better than okay. It's a fabulous system
Right.
if you have a background in electronics or computer science.
Right.
I don't have that background. My background is art. So then I got into NCE, which is fine. I understand it. It understands me. It respects me. So
Right.
when I turn it on, it's not going to tell me to go jump in the lake. It's going to work with me.
Wow.
And that's fine. Digitrax was just the opposite.
Wow. Well, it's just personal preference.
Personal preference.
Yeah.
But again, if I had a background in computer science, or if I was better off with electronics, which I'm not, I can't stand. You know me, I hate high tech. That's
Right.
why I quit flying. I quit everything that had high tech in it. I play music from 2 centuries ago.
Right.
I like steam locomotives. I hate jets. When I flew prop airplanes. I did fly jets for a while. I was bored shitless. I hated flying jets, so I quit. Just quit altogether.
Now-
the same thing with this. I mean, I can't stand. I am a dinosaur, or a stegosaur, whatever you want to call it. And I just belonged here in the 50s. I never got out of the 50s.
Right.
I did apply for admission to the 21st century, but I was rejected.
Yes.
I'm not allowed in the 21st. Understandably so.
Well, let's end the video by Let's talk about, you have, show the folks your new engine holder. We got this,
Oh, I got a high-tech engine.
you got a super
This is
high-tech.
This is high-tech. Works fine. There you go.
That actually is a nice locomotive. It was a
It's
Bowser.
beautiful. This is, oh, holy shit. Double holy shit. I was up at Tommy Gilbert's on Sunday, and he says, have you seen the Bowser RS series? He says, Tommy, I don't want a plastic locomotive. I don't, not the slightest bit interested. And as I was talking, he went back and pulled one out and pulled
Right.
that out of the box, and I says, great tubs of twisted turtle testicles. This is just incredible.
It's very nice.
It's absolutely beautiful. It runs as good as it looks, even better.
Yep.
Sound is perfect. And it just, I cannot say enough good things about this. So when something is good, and this is good, okay, I don't give a shit what it's made out of.
Right.
It's plastic, fine, but it's good plastic.
Right. Well, we could put it back in the engine holder. And
Back in the engine holder.
Howard, I appreciate you spending some time with us. Thanks.
Oh, you're quite welcome.